Good morning, everyone. Today is July 15th, 2021. This is Burke Lyle here, reporting on the All-Star game. I just want to give my thoughts on the All-Star game. So, it was kind of interesting All-Star game. It was originally supposed to take place at Truist Park. That changed back in April due to Georgia's voting laws, and now it's in Coors Field. And things that were different about this year's All-Star game. Well, take a look at where we were a year ago. This All-Star game, it was full to capacity. At about 49, 50,000 people there. It looked just like 2019 in some ways. Now, on the other hand, reading about COVID-19, this was an article from CNN. Now, how true it is, I don't know. But if this is true, it looks like cases are on the rise in this country as we stand right now. Hopefully, you hope it doesn't disrupt things again like it did last year. So, again, first All-Star game since 2019 took place. Had the home run derby last night. There were no sports. Actually, I take that back. Normally there wouldn't be any sports, but last night was Game 4 of the NBA Finals. Giannis and Chris Middleton against Devin Booker. Really Booker against Middleton in that game. So the All-Star game, just a lot of good storylines. So on the mound you had Max Scherzer starting for the National League, who you could say is the best pitcher. I'd say one of the best pitchers of the decade, of the 2010s for sure, against Shohei Ohtani, and we got to see Ohtani this year do things that we've not seen in 100 years. I mean, we've been talking about this since 2018, the two-way player, really all the way back in late 2017. Ohtani just started for the American League on the mound, is one of the best pitchers in the American League, and then hitting-wise has 33 home runs this year. I mean, Ohtani should win the MVP based on hitting and pitching. I mean, whether he wins a Cy Young or not, that's another story, but his hitting ability is enough to win him the MVP. I think he should win the American League MVP. I don't think it'll be terribly close. Cy Young might be a different story. So it's Scherzer against Ohtani, and the first batter was Ohtani against Max Scherzer. You think about it, Scherzer against Ohtani. And by the way, Fernando Tatis, which there's a documentary that came out on him, which I'm going to have to watch. It came out last night. MLB Network presents. They've made a lot of good ones over the years. The first batter was Tatis, almost hit a leadoff home run. And then, by the way, you also had Nolan Arenado playing in Coors Field as an All-Star. Think about it. Nolan Arenado was a Rocky for 8 years. Unfortunately, the last time the fans got to see him play was 2019. And I just think about the Rockies, their success that they had in 2017, 2018. They went toe-to-toe with the Dodgers. The Rockies at their very best against the Dodgers in their version of a down year. In a game between and really can go more into detail, but you remember the Rockies playing in that one-game playoff to decide the National League West. Well, the Rockies lost that game and lost the next 3 to the Brewers. They got swept by the Brewers in the divisional round. While meanwhile, I take that back. The Rockies did win the wild card game, but it was clear they're out of energy, and that was it for them. Where the Dodgers went on to the World Series that year, and also, not only that year, won 100-plus games in 2019, won the World Series last year, look on their way to potentially doing that again. So the direction of the franchise has changed. Anyways, that's not the point. The point is, Arenado is back in Colorado, where he had a very successful career. Brought a lot of good memories to Rockies fans. He actually returned a few weeks earlier as a Cardinal. Did get a standing ovation. Got a standing ovation as he was introduced in the starting lineup. And not only that, when he stepped up to bat, played his first game in Colorado. And that's what happened there. Second inning was kind of interesting. Judge walks, and Freddie Freeman happened to be wired at the time. And so it was interesting. Judge walked in. Freddie Freeman, pretty big himself. He said he was 6'5" almost. Judge 6'7", and it turned out they did not talk at first base, but it was just kind of interesting. And this is only in the All-Star game. I mean, Tatis was wired in the top of the third. In fact, he was wired while Vlad Jr. hit that long home run in the All-Star game. I mean, Vlad hit that 468 feet. It was almost into the concourse and kind of that left center field area of Coors Field. And you think about that, Tatis was wired during the same time as Vlad hit that home run, which again, this is the All-Star game. It happens in the All-Star game and spring training. This is when being wired makes sense. And just the nature of baseball, standing around, you can be wired. I mean, you can be out there a game, and you might have a ball. Say you play left field, you might have two balls hit to you. You might have a few base hits hit to you. You might bat three times. That's it. There's only so much you can do in baseball. But either way, Tatis was wired and Vlad hit that home run. And granted, my Spanish, I'll say this, my Spanish is pretty limited. I've studied it on and off over the last, say, 2.5 years. And Tatis said a Spanish phrase to Vlad Guerrero, and I didn't understand it. But that's what he said. So that's what happened. It was actually off Corbin Burns, another story, Rockies. German Marquez, who, again, I'd say is probably the Rockies, has been their best pitcher over the last, say, 3 or 4 years. I thought had a great run in 2018, which almost led the Rockies to that National League West title with Marquez. Had a great run there, pitched in his own ballpark in Coors Field, so that was cool to see. Especially a Rockies pitcher pitching his own ballparks. And again, one Rocky had to make it. If it was anyone, it was Marquez. So Bogaerts hits an RBI single. Just kind of boring here. It's a little more boring. So it's 4-0, kind of in the middle of the game. So here's an interesting stat. So JT Realmuto hit a home run to put the National League on the board. He hits a home run. And I was shocked. I just happened to be watching the highlights yesterday. And it was the first Philly to hit a home run in the All-Star game since Mike Schmidt in 1981, which that was 40 years ago. 40 years ago, just think about it. Schmidt made it, I think, looking up on Baseball Reference, they had these All-Stars. And Schmidt made it to 5 more All-Star games, and granted, it's one random game. I mean, back then, I think it was different. I think players got more at-bats in the All-Star game. Now, players get 2, maybe 3 at-bats at the most. So normally the starters come out after in kind of the middle innings, kind of like a starting pitcher is now. Once they've gone through the order 2 times, they kind of take them out. But again, first Philly did a home run since 1981, which is surprising since obviously just mentioned Schmidt playing in additional All-Star games as well. But you look back and you see Jimmy Rollins played in numerous All-Star games. Ryan Howard, one of the best power hitters of the late 2000s, early 2010s, did not hit a home run in the All-Star game. Neither did Chase Utley. All of them have been All-Stars. Jim Thome, granted, actually played in just one All-Star game with the Phillies. But knowing Thome and his power, never hit a home run in the All-Star game for the Phillies. So you think of all those power hitters they had over the years. Shocking to know, Pat Burrell, reliable player for the Phillies for a decade, never played an All-Star game with the Phillies. I am shocked that didn't happen. So you think about all the Phillies All-Stars they've had. Jason Worth made it, I think, once or twice. The Phillies never a home run. So again, you think about all the certain players never hitting a home run in these All-Star games. So by the way, this was kind of the 8th inning. Chris Bryant's up, bases loaded, and the score is 5-2. And Jared Walsh makes a sliding catch on a line drive by Chris Bryant. If it gets by him, game's likely tied. Even if it drops down, it's 5-4. Ultimately, the AL wins 5-2, and that's their 8th straight All-Star game win. But if you think about it, Jared Walsh is an interesting story. So it just happens to be, this is just a coincidence. He went to the University of Georgia. I watched him play. I'm actually live close to the University of Georgia. I watched Jared Walsh play baseball at Georgia for 2 years. And he was kind of a two-way player there, drafted in the 38th round, late 30s, a round that no longer exists. I think now the draft's going to be about 21 rounds. So either way, Walsh makes it to the big leagues as kind of a two-way player. Actually pitched some in the big leagues early in his career. Now he's kind of a DH, first base, outfield. Made the All-Star game, made the game-saving play in the All-Star game. So for the AL, this is their 8th straight win. So this goes all the way back to, and granted, last year, 2020, there was no All-Star game. But this goes back to 2013 in Citi Field, since granted, the AL had a very long stretch, I believe. And you go back to the last 24 All-Star games. I think the American League has won 21 out of the last 24 since they won. Trying to look at it. 13 in a row, believe it or not. From 1997 all the way up until 2009, and then to begin the decade of the 2010s, you had the National League winning 3 years in a row, Angel Stadium, I think Chase Field, and then Kansas City. The National League won 8 in a row. And then finally, you go back to the American League. You go to Citi Field in Queens. Mariano Rivera is MVP. Trout wins back-to-back in 14-15. Minnesota, Cincinnati. Young Trout in his early 20s. Then you have the AL winning again. I think 2017-16 they won. 17-18, I believe. Cano and Bregman were MVPs. I think those games went in extra innings, and each one of them hit go-ahead home runs. And then Bieber, and I think he struck out the side or something in 2019. He was in Cleveland. That was right when Shane Bieber was really taking off as maybe the best pitcher in the American League, if not all of baseball. And then obviously it was Vlad for hitting that home run, kind of jump-started things. So Vlad is MVP of the All-Star game, and the American League has won 8 straight in a row. And granted, yes, in recent years I was talking about the American League being stronger than the National League in terms of 100-win teams, having powerhouse teams like the Red Sox at times, the Yankees, the Astros for sure, winning 100 games 3 years in a row in the last 3 full seasons, 2017 through 2019. While the National League, maybe things were a little more balanced in the National League. Maybe the American League had more talent. I don't know. But you win 8 games in a row. One league does against the other. And how does one league win 21 out of 24? I don't know. It's amazing, but I think before that, the National League had some nice stretches for sure. So it alternates, but the American League has dominated over the last, say, 25 years. Say over the last quarter century, and really in my lifetime. I mean, I was born in July of 97. That's when I was born. So that All-Star game dominance by the American League kind of started right then and there, and it's interesting how the American League dominates so much. In these games, you can't predict it, but I mean, obviously both leagues are very strong. And if you want to look at the World Series during that same time, let's go rapid fire. And so the American League won 13 All-Star games, 13 out of their last 24. So if you want to look back, I mean, then the Marlins won a World Series. Then the Yankees had their dominance. Okay, won 3 in a row. The Diamondbacks won one. The Angels won one. The Marlins won another one. And that stretch, the Red Sox won one. The White Sox won one. Cardinals, okay, a weak Cardinals team against a superior Tigers team. Yeah, the Red Sox winning one against the Rockies. Fine. The Phillies won one against the Rays. Obviously, all-star caliber players, and the 09 Yankees beating the 09 Phillies, kind of 2 stacked teams. Okay. And then you had the Giants win. It's funny, the National League won 3 in a row, and the Giants won 2 of those World Series. And in between, you had the Cardinals winning one. So again, a Cardinals team against probably a better Rangers team. The Giants won. Who knows which team was better that year? The Giants beat a Tigers team that you thought was better, and then since the American League won, you had the Red Sox win the World Series, you had the Giants win the World Series against 2 underdog caliber teams, and you had the Royals, their load of All-Stars, beating the Mets in 15. Then you had the Cubs beating the Indians. That Cubs team had a lot of All-Star caliber players, and the Astros, they had a lot of All-Star caliber players in 17 against the Dodgers. Two kind of loaded teams right there, 2 Titans of 2017. 18, you had the Red Sox, who were very loaded that year against the Dodgers, very talented team that year. And that year, the American League was clearly better than the National League. I mean, looking at the playoff teams, I mean, you had 3 100-win teams in the American League, none in the National League. And then 19, you had the Astros, who were loaded, had a lot of all-star caliber players, Cole, Verlander, from that American League team, playing against the Nationals. They had a fair amount of all-star caliber players themselves: Juan Soto, Anthony Rendon, Scherzer, Strasburg. You can make your argument for Corbin. And again, that National League, also you had the Dodgers won 106 games that year. The Yankees won 103 games. The Twins won 101 games that year. You had 3 100-win teams in the American League. The other teams that year, I think, won 96, 95 games. The Indians won 93 games, and they missed the playoffs altogether. They're the 6th best team in their league that year. I don't know if we're going to see that this year. That's how loaded the American League has been over the last, say, 4 5 years. It's just really not that close. So you have all these dominant. The Astros won 107 games that year. So you look at those 2 leagues. I think the Braves won 97 games that year. I mean, it was amazing. The Nationals actually won 93 that year. Cardinals, I think, won 9. So again, this league. So just look at the dominance of the American League. So postseason kind of says it. Yes. So that could be one factor. But in terms of the American League against the National League, let's say the last. Oh yeah, by the way, the Dodgers won the American League pennant last year, or they won the World Series last year as a National League team, and they were clearly very talented. No one made it to the All-Star game last year. So just looking at these facts and figures, it's just kind of interesting to look back at why the American League wins so much. And granted, I think their rosters are pretty evenly matched. I mean, baseball is, yes, I'd say the American League has been stronger than the National League in recent years, for sure, if you want to look at 100-win teams. Other than the Dodgers, I can't think of any National League teams that have won 100 games. And again, winning 100 games, there's a stretch, I think, in 2011, the Phillies won 100 games where it just didn't happen for a while. It was kind of rare. I think the league kind of got more balanced. Now I think the top-heavy and bottom-heavy teams are more at superior. I think the more teams you have win 100 games, unfortunately, you have more teams lose 100 games. That was also a trend that happened in 2019 as well. So we're just wondering to see who can win 100 games. So if certain teams that can win 100 games, could the Red Sox win 100 games this year? I don't think so. I think it'll be close, but no. With the White Sox, I don't know. I think somebody has to get hot. I think of will the Giants win 100 games? I don't know. Will the Dodgers maybe get hot and win 100? Could the Brewers win 100? Probably not. Whoever's winning the East, National League East, is not going to win 100 games this year. So, granted, the Braves in 2019, they could have won 100 games. They could have if they played a little bit better and earlier in the season or late. But so either way, when you mention the word 100, I don't know if it's going to happen this year, but we had a lot of 100-win seasons in recent years, and you wonder what it'll look like this year in October. So just kind of my thoughts on the All-Star game, and then it got me thinking after the AL has won 8 straight in a row. I mean, how it's happened, I don't know, but I think just the way it is, I mean, is the American League more talented than the National League? I mean, it's interesting if you look at it. I mean, obviously, you look at the great teams, the Yankees winning 3 straight World Series, almost winning 4, going to 5 World Series in 6 years, 6 and 8. Dominant team, won 100 games a lot, very talented, and that's the way they played. The Red Sox winning 108 games, one of the best teams in recent memories. In 2018, that was a loaded team from the American League. The Astros 107 team, 107. Yankees 103, winning 100 games back-to-back years. Twins winning 101 games, I'd say out of nowhere. That was astonishing that you had 3 teams that won 100 games that year, all from the American League. Right, and then you had a team that won 93 and missed. So obviously a loaded American League, where you had the 2017 Astros 101, 2017 Dodgers 104. Again, an American League team that is essentially loaded. Oh yeah, by the way, the Indians won 102 games in 2017. They were very, very good that year, but they ultimately lost to the Yankees that year. So again, another loaded 100-win team. So you go on and on and on of teams that win 100 games, and it used to be, I'd say, pretty rare. I mean, I think as recently as 2016. I mean, the Cubs won 103, fine. Best team in the American League. I mean, the American League was less balanced back then. So again, whether we see teams win 100 games or not, that's interesting. So I'm sorry, I just want to talk about the All-Star game. But me being myself, I got into a discussion about winning 100 games, talking about which league is better or worse for that point. So either way, All-Star game, it was fun. Second half of the season begins tonight. You have the Red Sox and Yankees playing. Again, a good series to start the second half. We have about 11 weeks of baseball left to play until the season ends. So the season started 15 weeks ago. We got 11 weeks left to play. About 3 weeks ago, or 2 weeks ago, we're about halfway there. So in terms of camera angles, I'm sorry I had to move the camera around. I don't have a stand with me. I'm filming this video from my iPad. So I might look kind of strange right now, but you have these videos. So we'll make some more videos. One goal for the fall is to do more play-by-play. We might think about starting our own radio network. It's going to cost some money, but we're going to invest in that. We're thinking about it, starting that next week. So this is everything. So this is Burke Lyle here. This is Burke Lyle Sports Talk right now. We've talked baseball, and I'm sorry this summer we've not had a consistent amount of videos as I have in the past, but we'll try to keep making videos. So this is Burke Lyle Sports Talk. We'll see you next time.